Well, hello everybody. When I was looking at the chart for this week, I said to myself, what the heck is going on here that might be interesting to converse about? Well, if I go back to the chart for today is Saturday, by the way, we have Mercury catching up with Mars here at 17 degrees of Capricorn. There's some mercurial things going on this week. Mars is in play. This is, since today, Mars and Mercury together. What could that possibly mean? Mars, that driving impulse to do something. Mercury, what are we thinking about? What do we want to talk about? And so there's that kind of, impulse to say something. That's the kind of energy. This is Saturday, I think. Well, that's one way to look at it. Another way to say Mars, the warrior planet, being tickled by thoughts of war, communications about what's the best way that I could use to kill other people. And just on that note, I think about the space race. We're spending billions of dollars to put a few people out into space. And yet at the same time, we're spending trillions of dollars here on the surface to kill one another. Kind of makes you wonder. Anyway, that's just my Mars Mercury dancing thoughts for today. Let's go back to this week. That's coming up. Okay, starting on the 29th. The energy of the 29th, we have this nice trine forming, which we did, over the weekend, a trine forming between Mercury and Mars and Uranus. How might we ask ourselves, are we going to wake up to what the heck we're doing here, to ourselves and to each other here on the planet? That's a consideration. We have the last quarter moon this week, which is going to happen back here at about, let's see, about 13 degrees of Aquarius. The one factor that I'm going to bring up here is, this is kind of like some basic astrology. If you look at this chart, now I have the chart set up for, basically 0 degrees Aries, because the people that are on this wavelength are all around the planet, different places, and depending on where they are, a different degree of the zodiac is going to be on the horizon at each moment. But what this represents is this is a circle that's spinning around counterclockwise. Oh, it's clockwise. Clockwise. This being the east, this being the west. What was that? All of a sudden, that arrow decided to go. Don't know what that was, but it was interesting. And in the east, this is what's coming out over the east in each moment. Well, this particular chart isn't alive showing things, but this is east to west. And as this rotates, the planets ascend up to a high point. This is the noon point in the chart, and this is the sunset in the chart. Sunrise, noon, sunset, midnight's way down here at the bottom. So the reason I'm bringing that up is that the order that planets are in, and I'm going to just basically look at 3 planets: Venus, Mercury, and the sun. The sun, this is a planet that says, I'm going to experience something. This is the sun. Mercury, I'm going to think about something. I'm going to analyze it. Venus, I'm going to evaluate what is and what is not worth things. And the order that these 3 planets are in your natal chart, which, you want to pull out your natal chart and see which of these planets is rising first Because if you just trip this chart backwards, you would see that the first thing that would be coming up in the morning would be Venus. As a matter of fact, right now, if you get up very early in the morning, Venus and Mars and Mercury are off on that eastern horizon, and you can just start to see those before the sun starts to brighten up the sky too much. So, for everybody right now, the basic energy is initially, in whatever circumstances you find yourself involved in, I want to evaluate based on what it is that I'm interested in. So picture, if you will, the scales, the Libra scales. On one side, this is what I want to do. On the other side, these are the ramifications that are going to be created by what it is that I want to do. And I need to make that determination, the evaluation. What's it worth for me to consider any kind of an experience right now, any kind of an action, anything that I'm driven toward? This is the kind of energy that we're all under right now, with Venus rising in the lead. Mercury comes along, the next one rises over the horizon, says, I must consider what it is that I am aiming toward in a method, we'll call it analyzing. That's a good mercurial term. I need to analyze this experience and determine, is it or is it not appropriate for me to move forward with what it is that I'm aiming toward? This is the basic energy that we're all feeling right now. And the last one to come along is the sun. Am I ready to experience this? Well, I've analyzed the bejeebers out of it, and I've evaluated the bejeebers out of it, and I've analyzed it. I'm ready to experience it now. Sometimes, these planets, they dance back and forth all the time. Some people have, the sun rising over that eastern horizon first. And these planets, they all kind of hang around fairly close together, the Mercury being the closest to the sun, and then Venus, and then comes Earth. Some people born with the sun in the beginning, they jump into experiences, both feet, I'm going for it. And then afterwards, it's kind of like they have either the Venus or the Mercury in play, and Venus says, well, what do I, how did that go? On one side of the scale is, I did the experience. The other side of the scale is the effects of what transpired because I did the experience, and, I want to evaluate that. Do I want to do it again? Well, I had a good time, so of course I want to do it again. Yeah, and then comes the analyzing part. Let's say Mercury comes up after the sun, you've jumped into the experience, and it's kind of like, whoa, did I have a good time? No, I had a horrible time, so my analyzing process then might be kind of like, oh boy, if that kind of circumstance comes up again, I'm certainly going to really, and thinking about it, it's kind of like, no, I don't want to do that again. It didn't pan out like I really wanted it to. Anyway, those are just some basic, this is just conversational energies that play in the planetary dance that's going on for all of us to contemplate and look at your own chart and make the determination. What positions are your Sun, Mercury, and Venus in? Because they're going to give you some insight into how you click. Are you one who evaluates first? That's what we're in right now. Are you one who analyzes first? That's a possibility for some of us. We're really thinking real hard about what it is that we're about to do before we jump into it. And then there's those of us who have the sun in the lead saying, hey, I'm all about action. I want to do something. Let's have an experience. There's some basic energy for you to consider in the planetary dance. Let's go back to our week. you know, yeah, there we're on Tuesday, and what I'm watching here is I'm just watching the moon because the moon right now is in the process of basically like a handle on a bucket, and all the planets are over here almost entirely within a trine aspect, Earth to Earth in this case, Capricorn to Taurus. And so we have a kind of a focus of energy that's in play. Yeah, when I was looking at all the whole entire week, I went, "This would be a good week to go, spread out my wandering thoughts and give you some insight into astrological play." That was the Venus Mercury Sun dance that's going on. Um, Here it is. It's Friday, and the moon is up here. You can kind of see it. I do these charts for 8 o'clock in the morning. So the beginning of Friday, we have this moon at 9 degrees of Scorpio, which is moving into close to that square to the sun, the final square, the waning square, crisis in consciousness, as Dane Rudhyar would say. Well, it means that basically you've been through a lot of experiences, and it's time to kind of kick back and not really delve too much more into those processes and experiences that you've gone through. That is, and since the moon moves at a degree every a degree every 2 hours, so here we're 4 degrees away from the moon catching up with this last quarter thing. So that's 8 hours. This is 8, so that means 16. That's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The moon moves into that last final quarter, and this is Friday this week. And we're getting ready for the weekend, right? Getting ready for the weekend. We got this crisis in consciousness. God, I've been through a lot of stuff, and might there be things on this stuff list that I've gone through that I'm ready and willing to jettison, let go of, deliver away from myself? Yeah, it's a possibility. Well, what signs are we talking about? We're talking about this last quarter moon being in Scorpio. Scorpio, what mysteries might be afoot that are in play for how best to facilitate this last quarter moon of this particular cycle? I quickly zipped open my book, Astrological Mandala by Dane Rudhyar, to say, what does the Sabian symbol have to say about this final quarter, waning quarter moon? The Sabian symbol reads, this is a divination process. You will play it best how you see it, but the symbol says, telephone lineman at work installing new connections. So the keynote, the need to establish new channels of communication. Okay, remember, this is a waning quarter moon. So let's say maybe some of the facilities that I've tuned into over this last lunar cycle have not basically spawned the most effective kind of communication for what it is that I sense my soul wants to, really engage with. And so it's time to, cut some cords. Cut the cords so the linemen have to come and fix them again. Anyway, letting go of those lines of communication so that in an Aquarius fashion, there's what that moon is being squared to. I need people in my group. I need the right people in my grouping. Are they humane? Do they tune into an energy that says, welcome to our circle. I recognize that you are human, and because of that, we've got something in common. Something to contemplate there. Coming into this last quarter moon for Friday. Who all do I want to go out and hang with? Do I want to go out and hang with people? Because the quarter moon makes it kind of, well, it is Scorpio. So I'm feeling inclined to, stimulate that, that energy of possibly, just possibly intimacy at a deep and penetrating level with one another as something that I'm going to be paying attention to. How is it going to play out? Well, I think trying to predetermine that might not be the best idea. However, we do have to keep in mind that Venus is evaluating this situation. Mercury is analyzing it before we go out there and experience it. This is in play. It's not, hey, there's a fire, let's jump on in and see how hot we can get. Maybe there's something else that we could, in the evaluation process say, I don't need to jump into that fire. Why would I? And the analyzing part, our Mercury, for all of us right now, is saying, why on earth would I want to do that? And then there's that moon, our feeling over there in Scorpio, over this fire, saying, because sometimes it's fun, we'll put that onto our scales with Venus and say, yeah, we got some fun over on this one side of the scale, but, is it along the lines of the communication that I'm really interested in stimulating? This is something that you will each have to answer. And to finish out the week, because we haven't finished playing with Mercury yet, on Sunday, look at Mercury at 8 o'clock in the morning, 29 degrees, 9 minutes of Capricorn, the very last degree of Capricorn. And on this day, because Mercury is clipping along pretty good right now, Mercury is going to go into Aquarius. I just go flip one day ahead. You can kind of see it zipped into Aquarius. It's 41 minutes into Aquarius and connects up with Pluto right away. Oops. Anyway, so Sunday comes along. Our mercurial tool at work says, I need a new perspective. I've been through the slogs of doing what's so friggin' appropriate and practical, Capricorn, Earth sign, of course, and I've danced with Mars. My energy's been, just ticked up to a point where it's kind of like my thought process, we're almost bumping into each other because there are so many thoughts colliding. And as we end the week, however, and get ready for the next week, that Mercury going into Aquarius is saying, I think Aquarius is an air sign, stimulates those thought processes. I need to do something different. Capricorn idea of being in control, it's good up to a point. But from the Aquarian perspective, is the control so friggin' important that I would cut ties with people who I sense are required for me to engage with if I want to expand mine and your levels of awareness while we investigate, how we bring thoughts to the fore for each other in this investigation of what is life and how does my soul respond to the living experience, and might there be awarenesses that are going to appear if we openly and honestly share with one another this opportunity to discover. Okay, kids, that's it. That's all I have for this week. Probably a little shorter than normal, but hey, gotta enjoy it when you get it. So, ciao for now, and see you all next week.